All right, Mr. Omar's Music Lab podcast, episode number 8. This is going to be fun. Listen, before we get started, you know what to do. Your dishes, your laundry. In fact, I have laundry in the wash as we speak, and pray for me that I do not forget to move it to the dryer after the shooting for this episode wraps up. All right, let's get into this. 6 truths guitar teachers rarely teach. But let me kind of throw these ideas out here first. First, this episode is not about criticizing guitar teachers. A lot of us are our own guitar teachers. Heck, I'm trying to teach guitar on YouTube and figuring this out. I love my teachers. Most teachers teach what they can in a limited amount of time, right? They get somebody once a week for a half hour. Maybe that person didn't practice, but there's certain realizations that only experience gives you. And those realizations completely change how you see the instrument. These are like your light bulb moments. So today, I kind of want to share 6 of those perspective shifts that happened. And when they did, I was kind of like, why didn't my teacher show me this? So I'm trying to teach a lot of concepts here on this channel that my teachers didn't teach me. But again, I love my teachers. They're amazing. So listen, no hacks, no tricks. I tell you guys, guitar is hard. I'll always dish out the truth. Just got to put in the reps. But these perspective shifts, they're going to change everything. So I definitely want you to drop in the comments some of these light bulb moments for you, or if you've had, drop in the comments too. I want to know, do you have a personal teacher right now? Are you just binge watching YouTube? Are you teaching yourself? A combination of both? Would love to hear. And I think that's what we all got to stick together and kind of keep pushing each other to be the greatest version of ourselves. So listen, if you're stuck, it's not because you need more scales. No. If you're overwhelmed, it's probably not because guitar is too hard. You're already playing guitar, so you've already won there. We keep going over that stat. 9 out of 10 players quit in the first year. Something like that. It might be because no one just showed you the structure underneath certain things. And that's what we're going to talk about. So the guitar didn't change, your understanding did. So let's just go right into truth number 1. This is going to be fun. I definitely want you to reflect on this in between changing the laundry, between putting the fork in the dishwasher. Make sure you wash that food off before you put it in the dishwasher. That drives me nuts, okay? Now, structural core. Chords are structures. They're not just shapes. So I'm trying to think back to when I first started learning. You learn a bunch of songs. Great. Motivates me. I'm learning songs I love. I learned all these open chords. But then I wasn't taught how to analyze. My teacher didn't tell me like what was the structure of those chords. Didn't teach me like there's a way we can go deeper, how we can analyze what actually makes this thing that we're playing. I'm playing this G open chord. Well, it was never told, hey, let's stop and think. Let me show you what actually makes that chord. It was kind of open chords. Here's the bar chords. Here's a pentatonic scale. Position 1, low E to high E. Raise your hand or drop a comment if you can relate. So the reason if you've never been on this channel and you stick around, hopefully you will become part of Team Jellyfish here. More on that later. I am hammering triads. They are the bones, the glue, the spine of everything we do. The structural core of chords, the 1-3-5 formula, root, right? 3 notes, make that chord. In a G, it's GBD. I would have loved it. I had to figure this all out on my own, how to put all this together, because I'm a theory maniac. I'm sick in the head for it, but I love it. I love going deeper. Like teaching us that the third in the chord, that is what defines whether the chord's major or minor. The major third or the flat third, the minor third. The 5th, the dominant 5, stability, right? But we always learn power chords, or we play an open G chord. We strum 6 strings from low E to high E, and we don't know what we're playing. At least I didn't. I would have loved if my teacher would have written on the paper, hey, this is made of G, B, and D. Now, I could have said, well, why am I playing six notes? If there's just three notes, G, B, he'd say, well, there's more than one G. There's a B and there's a couple, so things like that. I would have been cool if the power chord, right? Because I was learning a lot of Metallica riffs, which has some amazing stuff, but there's a lot of power chords in a lot of songs, right? The power chord, the root and the 5th. Should have been told the power chord has the 3rd. It's removed. It's ambiguous. It's neutral. It's powerful. So would have been nice to go a little bit deeper and understand the structure, not just the shape. Okay, so this is what I keep telling you guys in videos that I teach lessons in. Go deeper, okay? Simplify and go deeper. Also, the triads across the string sets. Oh man, I think now if I could have learned that the way I know it now or the way I'm trying to teach it on this channel, that would have been amazing. I could have played everything in every genre and probably progressed so much faster. Now, I will say, I was psychotic with my practice schedule. I was one of those guys that was doing 6 to 8 hours a day, every day for like the first few years. Okay, I've kind of slacked that back a little bit. So like the triad sets, now I would have learned how to recognize the guitar neck. Not just like, I've seen a lot of videos too. Let me know if you guys have seen this. Here's a C, a C, a C, and they go from low E to high E. And then here's a D, a D. That doesn't really do you anything. You're not, if you don't have context, you're not gonna understand it on a deeper level. You're not gonna commit it to memory. So I think what happens a lot for a lot of us is we learn these chords, like power chords, and then we learn where the roots are on the E and A string, but then from the D to the high E, those strings get neglected for the first few years of playing. I just didn't have the know-how to go deeper, but if it could have been pointed out, I would have done it, and it would have worked. So like, that would have led to more advanced things like voice leading, right? Like moving between triad shapes in very close proximity. Then I would have become very efficient with my picking routines. Now, again, I don't want this to sound like I'm knocking teachers. This is just something I wish that they could have gone a little deeper in. Now, it could have, like I said, in defense of the teachers, they don't have like a lot of time with us. So they're just trying to get information out there. I'm just thinking there needs to be a complete redesign of like ideas and methods. I would have loved, show me an open chord and show me 2 triads that are the same as that open chord. Show me the open G, but now show me where to play that G triad on 2 different string sets. That would have been amazing. But it's okay. I got it now. So that's why I'm going to keep trying to show you guys, like, what are inversions? I heard inversions, but they weren't really explained. So again, if you don't know, an inversion's just when you take a triad and instead of playing it with the lowest fundamental root note being, you can just visualize this. You don't have to see anything right now. 1, 3, 5, when you put the third as the lowest fundamental note, that is a first inversion, or I call that a 351. If you put the 5 as the lowest fundamental note, then that is a second inversion. And right now, if your brain's melting while I say this, that's why you got to keep coming back here, because this is what I'm pushing out for you, that you will connect the dots. You need the awareness. You don't know what you don't know. All right, so shapes limit you, intervals free you. Intervals would have been great to learn what intervals were, triads. So you want that freedom of understanding the neck, connecting the neck, not just memorizing notes on the neck. So and once you see chords as structures, you stop memorizing, you start understanding on a deeper level. And that naturally leads to the next realization, where do these structures come from? So that's kind of my truth number 2. I remember learning the major scale on the E and A strings, where the root starts, and you have that pattern. And if you're thinking, you can just listen to this. If you look at your fretting hand, your pointer finger's your 1, your middle finger's 2, your ring finger's 3, and your pinky's your 4th finger. And so you learn that pattern. So in low E, let's say we play a G major scale, and the pattern from low E to the D is 2-4, 1-2-4, 1-3-4. And all that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the 7 notes of the major scales. But the major scale is the blueprint for everything. It is the harmonic DNA. It's where you see, it's where you learn the tension of half steps. It's where you learn what whole steps are. I was just shown the major scale. Okay, I know I'm playing it, and I just saw it as a pattern, and that's it. I didn't have the deeper connection. And again, thank you, teacher, for showing me how to even play the scale in a couple positions, okay? So this all led to amazing stuff. But if I could have been shown a little, just, you know what? Push that out there for me. Just make me aware of it. Make me know it even exists. I am absolutely amazed, but not amazed at how many times I talk about things on this channel and people drop in the comments, they didn't even know that existed. But that's the beauty of music too. So exploration never ends. But again, so if I would have understood, oh, this is what diatonic harmony is. This is where you build your diatonic scales for like us songwriters. Always, I say all the time in here, think like a songwriter. And the reason I say that is this is where you learn the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 1 chord is major. The 2 is minor. The 3 is minor. 4 and 5 are major. The 6 is your relative minor. Your 7, there's your diminished chord. More on that later. The good old diminished chord just gets pushed to the corner. No, but everything has its place. Again, this is where you learn how to like stack intervals, like going from the root to the third. Let me play with a lot of this stuff. I was just playing and discovering on my own, but I didn't know what I was playing. How many of you guys can relate to that? Again, any comments you can drop in here, great. If your hands are wet and you're drying dishes, hopefully you have a dishwasher, but if not, dish racks and towels are cool. Just get it done. But again, you hear things like Nashville number system. Those guys all talk in numbers. But then I could have light bulb moment or connected that's, oh, when they're like play a 1, 4, 5, now that I know the major scale, like in the key of, C, let's say, the 1 is C, the 4 is F, and the 5 is G. So I can play a 1, that's what they're, so little light bulb moments like that. So you start to talk the language of music too, and you start to understand like, oh, the 5 chord really resolves well to the 1. Or what if I start at progression with on the minor 2, and then I go to the 5, and then I go, so little things like that. So if harmony comes from the major scale, then what actually makes it feel good? Then you start developing a very good sense of melody too. And then that's where we're gonna go to our next point where rhythm enters the conversation. This is probably one of the most important things because in the beginning, when you're young, like I was, and think back to when you played when you were young, or if you're young now, speed is very impressive. However, it means nothing because guitar is percussion first. I say many times, and James Brown said it, every instrument is a drum set. So rhythm carries everything. I had the beauty of playing in a 4-piece band, then I went to a 3-piece, bass, drums, guitar, me being the only guitarist. Your rhythm better be tight. So I think if I was able to understand the importance of rhythm, I would have kind of backed away from the lead part as much as I did in the beginning, because in that time I had 2 guitar players, myself and another guy, Aaron, 4-piece rock band. I was the lead guitar player. But you don't just sit there and come in and play lead. You're playing rhythm is the foundation for everything. So understanding like subdivisions of 8th notes, 16th notes, quarter notes, playing in between the beats, push, pull of music, understanding the pocket, the groove is everything, okay? So that means like when you have a really fantastic built-in sense of internal rhythm, you're playing in the pocket. You can push and pull at will. And then when you build chemistry with your rhythm section, your drummer and your bassist, it turns into this amazing synergy. That's where when you really people hear like, I'm in the zone, that's really what that means. I'm in the zone, man. So again, then you learn the real world stuff of like, remember I said in a few episodes back, the bedroom versus band muscle. So that's why I want to keep encouraging you guys to play music with other people. Keep trying. I know a lot of you guys are trying, right? Because then you learn too, from a rhythmic standpoint, you learn how to become a great listener because you can't step on your other musicians' toes. You have to learn how to use space better than you even learn where to put the sound. Space is probably more important because that's what builds dynamics and impact in music. Muted strumming. Now, I will say, my teacher did do a pretty good job of showing me some cool muting techniques, and I think that has really added up to who I've become as a player. Percussive texture. I tell you guys all the time in here, the only mistake in music is if you stop, or if you quit guitar. That's the biggest mistake. Don't do that. But if you just stop playing. So you've seen in a lot of videos, if I hit a mistake, I turn it into music. The way I do that is I let up, I start playing something percussive, meaning I'm not even pushing the note down. I'm not fretting it. I'm just resting my fingers. That string now has become like a piece of a drum kit. Here's my snare drum. Here's my kick. So you need to really rework your thinking like that. So you really start to respect rhythm on like the highest level. And then you realize, then you start to shift and you love all the fantastic rhythm players in the world. And I've seen a lot of comments who a lot of your favorite players are. And a lot of you guys drop names of people that are just some of the best rhythm players in the world. Now, don't get me wrong. Everyone that's well known is a good rhythm player, but some guys are just known for an elite level of like rhythmic playing. And a lot of it's a lot of percussive elements. So I want to point out too, this would have helped me because I've seen a lot of you guys say this in the comments. Like for example, when you fret a bar chord, let's just stay in G. I love G. I love I love the key of G. I love that F sharp. One sharp in the key of F of G, that's F sharp. See, that's why we got to learn this stuff. Again, you don't have to make every single note sound out. But when you're a beginner, I wish my teacher, I was struggling so hard. I thought, oh, I got to make every single string sound out perfectly. No, 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 and no. You've got to play a sweet, tight, rhythmic groove. If you only get one of those notes out of those 6 you're trying to play, they're in the triad, the 1, 3, 5, you're doing your job, okay? Eventually, you're going to get it where you get them all to sound out nicely, but then you're going to get to the level where you're so elite, you can just do the triad shape on the DGB string set, and then you can just do a percussive thing, and you're going to get your thumb over, and you're going to mute the E and A. And I've seen a lot of people that say, I can't do that. Trust me, you can. Don't ever say you can't. I know it's hard. It's not easy. It takes years to perfect, but get it, stick with it, because what you'll do is you'll start to adapt, create your own technique. All right, so again, once you respect rhythm at the highest level, you realize something else is slowing down most players, and it's not talent, right? It's not talent at all. So, and what this is truth number 4 is depth beats collection. Now, remember, I did an episode a while back. Go check that out if you haven't seen it, about don't be a collector, meaning when we go to our guitar lessons, I remember this, every week I just keep getting piled on more and more scales, more and more songs, more and more and more and more, and then I start to feel overwhelmed. It would have been better if I would have taken a piece, one piece, even a piece of a song and drilled down deeper over a period of 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And that's kind of how I'm trying to rebuild my system on here, how I teach lessons. So more content, it feels productive, but that's the problem. It's not. So like we're trying to build our cognitive ability, right? So we're trying to recognize and connect all aspects of the guitar. And again, this is hard. Music is a language. It's a technical skill. You're taking the language and applying it to the technical part of playing. It's so hard. But the beauty is when it all starts to connect, there's nothing more amazing. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping you guys. That's all I care about in here, is helping you get better and for you to have that one moment where you're like on cloud 9 floating, because you're like, you can't believe the feeling you got, the emotional feeling you got from it. So again, don't just keep going deeper. Stop the collecting, focus in, build your musical systems, your musical pillars. That right there would have helped me if my teacher would have done that. But I get it. Again, not knocking teachers. I would be nothing without my guitar teachers. I'm mostly the player I am because of them, but I'm just pointing out a few things I'm thinking about that we're reflecting on here together. And I definitely want you to drop in the comments things you light bulbed later down the road that you wish you would have been made aware of sooner, right? So that's why I'm saying, like, here's an example of executing this. You know how I keep hammering triads to you guys? And a lot of you have said, hey, why do you talk about triads so much? And then you loop back and you're like, now I know why you talk about triads so much, because you're having those moments I just talked about. You're like, oh my gosh, I get it now. Because if you can map triads everywhere, you can play in any key, you can play anything. And then it's just so fun. And then you can play melodically, harmonically, and then you just keep building out and adding from there. Like you can do like a 1-chord progression deep dive, not 6 different chord progressions. Like that's what I was doing. I was just collecting information. I mean, my teacher was already, and I still remember this. This is great. I still remember when my teacher was teaching me modes, and this is pretty early on. And it's funny, I still play the modes the way that he showed me, which is amazing. But I didn't understand what the heck they were. I didn't understand, and people are so confused. Oh, that's just the same major scale rearranged. Remember the major scale is the blueprint for everything. It's the same major scale, but just from a different starting point, a different tonal center. Like a little tiny mini conversation like that would have been such a teachable moment, and then we could have shifted the lesson focus for following weeks or months into that. And again, but on the flip side, when he did show me that, I was learning things like Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian. So there was some like learning from that. I'm just thinking outside the box here, and how, you know, instead of collecting more and more information, going a little bit deeper, right? So when you stop collecting, you start seeing connections. Again, I keep wanting to tell you, this is not about memorizing notes on the guitar neck. This is about collecting and stopping collecting, and seeing connections. And that's when theory stops being scary, okay? And here's kind of like the idea of all this. I can keep talking about triads. I can keep showing you where the root 3/5 is. I can show you the first and second inversions, and I will. I've made charts. I've got a playlist on here right now that has every single major minor triad shape on all 4 string sets. You can move it to any key, but it's going to be your job to go a little bit deeper and understand, I need to understand that a D F sharp A is a D major triad. I need to understand how to change a D major triad to a D minor triad. I have to flat the third. What's the third? F sharp. 1, 3. I got to make that an F. So DFA must be a D. See, and you just keep hitting it over and over. And once you get it, you don't stop. You keep hitting it forever, but you keep expanding on that idea, all right? So even though you're adding additional information, all you're doing is adding to your musical catalog, but you have the foundation, you have the glue to hold it all together. So you start seeing the connections, right? And so you start learning theory or building your own system for music theory. So shifting into truth number 5, theory, music theory is just a language. It's just a way of making sense of stuff. It's a way for us to have a common thing when we get in a room with musicians, a way for us to speak and communicate. And this is the fun part too. My teacher, he did kind of teach me some theory. He twisted my brain up pretty good, but he explains some good things. But theory really names the relationships of stuff, like major versus minor third. Remember when we loop back to what I said about chords? That would have been a good discussion. Here's a 1, 3, 5, G, B, D, G's the 1, B's the major third. Then we could have talked about intervals. So you start to have this emotional shift or feeling. Music theory, I just had a little talk about this not too long ago about how theory, people want to run and shut down because that's just like a word nobody wants to hear. But again, this is just your way of building your own relationship to understand the guitar on a deeper level and to communicate it with yourself or your fellow musicians. Mostly your fellow musicians too. When you get in a room, it's really nice when you get with a group of pros and you're like, we're going to play an E and we're going to do a 1, 6, 2. That's the 1 minor 6, the 2. And then you go deeper. You're like, hey, let's play a major 2 instead of a minor 2. And then you know what chords to play. That's where you really, this is kind of where I'm trying to push you guys. This is where I want you to get to. And I've had a lot of you guys like, hey, how can I learn to be, work on sessions? How can I play in bands? And a lot of this is, I just want to empower you. That's it. I want you to feel confident. Confidence is probably the number one thing you need to keep growing as an artist, as a musician, as a producer, whatever you want to branch into, okay? But theory is a language you just need to know, okay? Even if you're not holding your instrument, you have a conversation with someone. Like these podcasts I discovered. Heck, we all love to talk about music as much as we love playing music and creating music. And that's just, it's kind of the whole package. So I kind of it would have been great. Like, hey, here is the Phrygian scale. This is related to the minor third. Why don't you play the minor third chord and I'll let you improvise the Phrygian scale? How does that sound? Target notes. So you see what I'm saying? This is what theory does, is it just starts to be a catalyst to a deeper thinking. You start to understand things like, I can make this a 7 chord. What makes this I need the triad and I need the 7 in order to be a 9 chord. Oh, it's an add 9 if it just has the triad but not the... So see all this stuff? It's a lot. Don't get me wrong. But I think if my teacher would have made me more aware of some of the basics, and we should do a video on the absolute most basic amount of theory you should know. And that's why I would just use the blueprint of the major scale and triads. And if you pretty much learn that, you're probably going to be set for life, but then you're probably going to want to push beyond that just by nature because you're going to feel so empowered by that. So, and when theory becomes language, you stop copying guitar licks, you create your own. You know how to create things really, really fast. If you're given like it's sometimes they call it like a brief. I did some stuff in TV and they're like, oh, we want a sound that sounds like Radiohead and we want it to be a 145 in these keys, and you just know what to do right away. So that's why I'm trying to tell you, it's just a language, right? It's like when you're a baby, you don't come out of the womb speaking your native tongue. That'd be cool, a little freaky. But again, you need to start studying this at some level. Keep coming here. I'll keep hammering it. I do it every lesson, sometimes more directly, sometimes more indirectly, but I will not stop trying to teach that. All right, so let's go into Truth 6. I think if my teacher would have made me a little more aware of the fact that awareness beats memorization, I think in the beginning we're just trying to keep our heads above water and not quit the instrument. And I know I do agree. I think learning songs that we love, that's a great motivator, right? And I did that. And I think that's a great way. But you always want to go below surface. So maybe pick one song instead of 10 and study that song for 3 months and understand, can you play the chord progression using nothing but, think about, what if you did this? Do this right now. Do this in the next few days. Take a song you love, look at the chords, figure out the spine of those chords, the triad, and play the progression just using the triads. And then use the open chords, and then blend the open chords with triads. So meaning, this is where you're deepening your awareness of like what's going on, but you're going below the surface, tip of the iceberg, but go below. You want deep, 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 right? So you're gonna start hearing chord tones. You're going to target certain notes intentionally. You're going to target the third. When you play a progression using triads, you start targeting, I'm going to target the root on this. This is actually, too, I get excited because I talk about this all the time, but this is how you start learning how to improvise solo over chord progressions. Must hydrate. Sorry about that. You slow your tempo down. So play with a metronome, play by yourself. If you have an acoustic, play that. If you have an electric, play that. If you have both, play both. 2 different mindsets. So you start to take ownership of what you're doing, okay? You're creating instead of copying. Then all your influences, your artists you love, start to become into your guitar DNA. But then you take that, you reverse engineer it, and it comes out on the instrument as you. It's really cool when that starts happening, and you just keep building off of that forever. So, and that's the final shift. The instrument didn't change. The guitar is always, 6 strings, however many strings you play in your guitar. Piece of wood, maybe some pickups if it's an electric. Well, better have pickups if it's electric. You won't be picking up much. But like what did change is your awareness, your level of deep understanding, or understanding in a deeper level. So I'm just going to close this with, like, none of these are like secrets, right? Your upgrade is your perspective. That is your currency right here. When you gain more perspective, that's your currency, your musical currency, right? And then that empowers you. You become a more confident player. You have amazing positive perspective shifts. You understand that music is all about relationships on the theory level, the technical level, and that understanding creates freedom. You can flow like the jellyfish wherever you want, all over the neck. All right? So definitely, hopefully you'll drop a comment on this. I know this one was a little bit longer, but I love chatting music with you guys. You're all amazing. Give yourself a giant hug. No, seriously, have some empathy for yourself. Don't say you suck, although sometimes it's okay. I'm going to be a realist. Some days we're going to have bad days where we think we're terrible. You're not. Don't compare yourself to anybody but you. And tomorrow when you wake up, try and make a little bit of growth happen in your playing, a little growth, learn something new, and then reflect on that. What did I learn today? Okay. What am I going to practice today? I've got 3 minutes. I'm going to learn this one triad on this one string set. That's it. Just little things like that. You're building your musical pillars. You will not fail. You will get better and better and better and better, and it becomes more and more fun, and you just keep learning. It never stops. That is the beautiful thing of music. I think it's the most amazing thing on this planet. I think we need more artists like you putting out music. Start bands, write songs, put your art out in the world. And that's it. Drop jellyfish or your favorite sea creature in the comments. My favorite sea creature is actually a shark, by the way, but the jellyfish thing, we'll talk about that more. But you guys are amazing. All right, so thanks for listening. go. I just reminded myself, I'm gonna go put my laundry in the dryer so it doesn't reek in the morning. You have to do the second wash. Hopefully you got your dishes done. And you guys, let's just keep this train rolling. See you in the next video. Peace.